Welcome to Instablogs Global Report. This is Sukhmani with fresh updates and more citizen voices from all over the world. Stories for the day are: US warns Iraq over troop pact. Nepal minister calls Indian flood relief aid pittance. School violence rising in Kenya. And Chinese toys being checked for presence of lead in Philippines. The United States has warned Iraq of dramatic consequences if Baghdad rejects an agreement on the future of the American troops in the country. Both are trying to achieve a common ground on a security pact that seeks to withdraw the American troops from Iraq by 2011. CJ Prince Campbell seeks immediate troop withdrawal given the financial costs entailed by the United States in running military operations within Iraq.
This is Prince Campbell, citizen journalist, reporting from the United States for Instablogs.com. The Bush administration should stop dictating terms to Iraq on a security pact and instead help the country in securing an extension of the UN mandate. It is high time for the U.S. to withdraw its troops from Iraq, especially after the success of the Shia Sunni ceasefire and the relative peace that has slowly but surely begun to seep into the Iraqi society. The Iraq War has already been a huge burden on the American taxpayer. Ever since the conflict began, the U.S. has spent over $315 billion on the war and reconstruction efforts. That's half of what it desperately needs today for the financial bailout. The U.S. economy is already in shambles. People have lost faith in that they had in the administration's ability to protect their economic future. How can our government still afford to play with such flimsy ideas as securing legal basis for military presence in Iraq until 2011, naturally tantamount to inviting financial suicide? Let the UN handle Iraq.
A senior Nepali minister has dismissed Indian aid as a pittance less than a week after the Indian government handed over a cheque of Nepalese 320 million rupees to Nepal's Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal to help bring relief to the victims of the Kosi flood. CJ Mukunda agrees with the minister's comment and would like to see an increase in financial aid meant for the Kosi flood victims.
This is Mukunda, citizen journalist reporting from Nepal on Instablogs. Monetary relief provided by India is nothing compared to the amount of aid which is needed to actually affect the rehabilitation of flood victims in Nepal. Series of embankments and other structures built by India along the India-Nepal border meant for its own security are havoc in Nepal. According to the Kosi River Pact signed between the two neighbors in 1954, India has to maintain, build and repair the various structures on the river. The Kosi breached its embankment in August of two of its spurs collapsed, unleashing destruction in Sunsari districts in South Nepal as well as in Bihar state in India. In comparison to the 50,000 people left homeless in Nepal, the money handed over by the India government is inadequate. For international norms, India should compensate Nepal for the ravages caused by the flood. This is the right time for self-styled Big Brother that India is to duly play its part and help its northern neighbor in need.
Violence has become part and parcel of Kenyan political and educational institutions after post-electoral fighting. It is school violence which is raising fresh concerns. CJ Rose Wangui has more on school violence within Kenya.
This is Rose Wangui, a citizen journalist from Kenya, reporting on Instablogs. Following the wave of post-election violence in Kenya earlier this year, violence recently erupted again, this time in Kenyan high schools. Several secondary schools' dormitories and administration blocks were set on fire in the last few months by students whose indiscipline continue to be a source of concern in many parts of the country. Characterized by destruction of schools' property running into millions of Kenyan shillings, loss of study time and even death, this unrest spread spontaneously like a bushfire during a dry season. Violence was in the past associated with the university students, but over the past decade, university strikes have ceased and the trend has shifted to affect secondary schools. The violent events that took place in Kenyan schools are a big harm to the country's economy, and the parents' hope is that the government will put up measures to curb this in future.
The Bureau of Customs in Philippines has been holding a container van of plastic toys from China to check for traces of lead. The seizure comes after reports trickling in of Chinese toy manufacturers attempting to export toys with high lead content. CJ Grace Calderon wants the Filipino government to sternly guard against the Chinese export following the huge losses incurred by country in the most recent tainted milk scandal.
This is Grace Calderon reporting for Instablogs from the Philippines. The seizure of container full of plastic toys believed to be contaminated with lead is depressing. Economic development, at whatever cost it seems, is the overriding principle which governs trade and industry functions within China. Recently, Chinese dairy industry flooded the world market with melamine-tainted milk in attempt to dilute the milk and make it appear higher in proteins. Not only did it risk the lives of thousands of infants throughout the globe, but it also had a negative impact on businesses worldwide for no fault of theirs. The new findings that Chinese toy manufacturers in China have exported toys with high lead content is absolutely shocking. The Philippine government should sternly guard against import of goods from China and block the import of goods if laboratory examination succeeds in determining that the toys did contain lead, a toxic chemical. After all, why should we pay the price for China's who cares attitude at the cost of the health of our own young and our country's business interests?
If you want your voice to be heard by millions, let Instablogs be your choice. You can contact us at cj@instablogs.com. That's all for today's show. We'll be back with fresh updates and more citizen voices. Till then, it's goodbye from the entire team of Global Report.